Hi everyone, welcome back to Animals with Nianne. Today we're heading to some of the world's most magical wetlands to meet one of the most iconic and elegant birds on Earth, the Greater Flamingo, or also known as the European flamingo. I've seen them plenty times in zoos, but I've also seen them in wild, and I was in Portugal. And even though they were very far away from me and they were really hard to see, they were just kind of like tiny white dots on the seashore. No, it wasn't at the sea. It was a big lake or something, I don't know. But besides that, they left a great impression on me. And I hope that after watching this video, you're also greatly impressed by these amazing flamingos because they're cool. They're really cool. Sorry guys, my voice is still not doing great after my operation and I'm struggling to speak, but I really want to make videos. So here we are. Love it. Let's dive into the world and what makes them so unique. Greater flamingos are the largest of all flamingo species. They can stand up to 150 centimeters tall, with males even reaching up heights of 187 centimeters. They also have an impressive wingspan from around 140 to 170 centimeters long. I am 177 centimeters, and it's so weird to think about a bird having a wingspan that's just a bit smaller than me. Like, that's crazy to think about. On average, they weigh between 2 to 4 kilograms, which I find surprisingly light for their size. This is thanks to their hollow, air-filled bones that make flight much easier. Their long S-shaped necks, sounds like I'm saying ass. S-shaped, as like the letter S, not as. Is made of 19 elongated cervical vertebrae, almost as twice as humans have. This gives them an incredible range of motion, allowing them to curve and twist their necks in all directions basically. The shape isn't just for elegance, it's a functional design that allows them to reach down in the water while keeping their body balanced and to groom their feathers thoroughly. This is a behavior called preening. Their beaks are also specialized. Flamingo beaks are bent downward in the middle and they use them upside down for feeding. And inside their beaks are comb-like structures which are called lamellea? Lamellea? I don't know how to pronounce these kind of words in English, I'm sorry.
Lamellae.
But that comb-like structure filters out tiny organisms from the water. Their large tongue acts like a piston, pumping water out and trapping food in the lamellea. I don't know. But it's similar to how a whale uses baleen. And as most people already know, flamingos have long legs. Their legs are almost the same size as their body and in webbed feet. The webbing helps to stir up mud and release food. And the backward knee that most people see with flamingos is actually their ankle. Their ribs are much higher up, hidden beneath their feathers. Another fascinating feature about flamingos is their color. They're born with soft and gray down, and as they grow and eat carotenoid-rich foods, their feathers gradually turn from pink to pale red. The brighter the pink, the healthier and better fed the flamingo is. A fun fact about the flamingo is that their eyes are larger than their brains, and their eyes are positioned on both sides of their head, giving them a wild view to spot predators while they feed. They also have a nictitating membrane, and that's a clear third eyelid that protects their eyes from water. Greater flamingos are found across parts of Africa, Southern Europe, the Middle East and South Asia. They live in shallow wetlands, salt lakes, lagoons and estuaries. They prefer large open spaces where they can safely gather in enormous flocks, sometimes numbering in thousands of individuals. Because flamingos depend on a very specific water ecosystem, their presence is often a sign of a healthy ecosystem. A behavior that the greater flamingo is known for is standing on one of their legs, sometimes even for hours. Scientists think this is to preserve body heat, because standing on one leg reduces heat loss. Greater flamingos are highly social. They live, feed, breed in large colonies, and those colonies can be incredibly noisy and lively. Flamingos are also known for their synchronized dancing or like group displays during breeding. Dozens or hundreds of birds are working together, stretching their necks and turning their heads side to side like they're dancers. As mentioned before, flamingos are quite noisy. They communicate with honks, growls, and trumpet-like calls. Vocal communication helps maintain cohesion, especially in large, chaotic colonies. Besides being graceful on the ground, flamingos are also very good flyers, and they can travel long distances between feeding and breeding sites. They often fly in V-shaped formations or long lines, which help conserve energy. When it comes to reproduction, the flamingos are usually monogamous. However, pairs usually don't stay together for life. They can choose new partners in following seasons. They don't have a single fixed breeding season worldwide. It really depends on the rainfall and the water conditions in their habitat. For example, in Africa, they usually breed after rainfall, often between November and May. And in Europe, breeding usually happens during summer months. They build mud nests that look like little cones right out of the water. Usually, they lay one egg per breeding attempt. Both parents take turns incubating the egg for around 27 to 31 days. And like I've mentioned before, when the chick is born, they're grey, and later when they eat shrimps and algae and so on, they will turn more pink. Flamingo chicks often gather in huge nursery groups where they're safe while the flamingo parents go and find some food for the chicks. Greater flamingos can live for quite a long time. They usually live for about 20 to 30 years, though some individuals can live up to 40 years old, but only if conditions are good enough. In captivity, they can live even longer for about 50 years. Greater flamingos are pretty long-lived, and that's quite impressive for a water bird. So flamingos are filter feeders. They stir up mud with their feet to bring up their food. The diet mainly includes algae, shrimps, tiny crustaceans, small insects, and mollusks. Feeding is often done in groups, which makes it more efficient and may help spot predators. Greater flamingos are currently listed on the IUCN Red List as least concern. This means that at a global level, the populations are considered stable and they're not currently at high risk of extinction. However, they still face several threats. For example, habitat loss, which is caused by wetland drainage and human activity. Pollution and toxins in the water also plays a role and pose serious risk for the well-being of the greater flamingo. Besides that, in some countries, greater flamingos are also being hunted, and climate change also adds a challenge to the well-being of the greater flamingo because climate change affects water levels and the availability of food. Greater flamingos rely on protected wetlands to thrive, so conservation efforts are essential. There are several organizations that protect the greater flamingos or their habitats. For example, I have Wetlands International. They focus on protecting wetlands habitats worldwide. And I have BirdLife International. They monitor populations and protect threatened species. So if you want to support the greater flamingos or wetland habitats or birds in general, you can check out these organizations. Greater flamingos are just more than a pretty bird to look at. They're social, clever, and full of surprising behaviors. From their one-legged poses to synchronized dancing, they show us just how amazing the natural world can be. If you enjoyed learning more about the greater flamingo, please don't forget to subscribe or to leave a like. Comment if you have a question or if you want to keep the conversation going, or if you want to know more about a different animal, I can make a video about that as well. As usual, I'll link the organizations and the sources that they use in the description box. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.